Microsoft discusses the closing of Lionhead Studios, and we are getting a bunch more multiplayer content for Halo Infinite starting tomorrow. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily Xbox content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So the Xbox documentary Power On is now available on various streaming platforms. You can go check it out on YouTube. This was a documentary that was announced at the Xbox 20th anniversary show, where they were going to go over just pretty much the creation of Xbox all the way up until now, all of the good things and the bad things that have happened with the company. So it's a 6-part documentary, and if you go to their YouTube channel, you can see here there are 6 different videos, and they're all like 40 minutes long about, so there's a lot of information within this documentary. But one of the big things they talked about was how Lionhead Studios was handled and the missteps of that. So if you remember, Lionhead Studios was the studio behind the massively popular Fable franchise. Fable 1 and 2 mainly were the biggest and most popular ones. And unfortunately, in 2016, Lionhead had to shut down. And they talk about this and how they wish really that it didn't happen, that they would have handled it better. Saying here, one of the biggest missteps that we learned from in the past was Lionhead. And this was said from Shannon Loftus, who was the general manager of Global Games Publishing when Lionhead was shuttered. Continuing on here to say, we had already published Fable 1 and it was a hit. People wanted more, and so we bought Lionhead. Those were the good years. But after Fable 2, Connect came along, and the Fable Connect marriage just never really took. If you remember, there was, I believe, Fable The Journey, which is a Connect game. I actually played that game. It was okay. I got it because it was Fable. It was Fable branded, and I loved Fable, so I wanted to check out the Connect version of it and see what the motion controls, how they would function in that environment, in that world. It wasn't anything great, and obviously not a lot of people enjoyed it, and it didn't take off, and the studio kind of went downhill from there. Then continuing on here to say, and then Fable The Journey was a passion project for a lot of people, but I think it deviated pretty significantly from the pillars of what made Fable 1 and 2 so popular. And then Sarah Bond just kind of goes over how they acquired it in 2006, Lionhead, and then they shut it down in 2016. Continuing to say, a couple of years later, we reflected back on that experience. What did we learn, and how do we not repeat the same mistakes? So you may think, what did they learn from this experience? And Phil Spencer kind of touched on this as well, saying you acquire a studio for what they're great at now, and your job is to help them accelerate how they do what they do, not them accelerate what you do. Now, this is very, very interesting, because this is a great point by Phil Spencer. It's kind of what we've seen with Xbox over the last couple of years, a huge shift in their direction, in their strategy. So what I guess happened with Lionhead was that they needed to grow as a publisher. They need to grow as a video game developer, a video game maker. So they went ahead and acquired Lionhead after Fable had already been super successful. And then they were hoping that Lionhead would bring them further and help them grow and kind of give them tips and pointers how to be a video game company, how to be that big publisher. And obviously that's not how it works, because you acquire that studio, and then if you put all this other pressure on them to do all these different things that they weren't used to, things like this will happen where they won't be successful, and you're going to have to shut down the studio. And then you look at Xbox today, after acquiring Bethesda, having 23 game studios, and from what we understand as outsiders, how they are handling these studios, when they're basically just allowing them to continue to do what they do, but they are there to help them accelerate their progress, give them more resources, provide them more money to create the big creative ideas that they want to create. And then if other people from other studios want to help them with their projects, they will be open to that type of stuff. So it's a big change in how Xbox is handling their studios, and we've seen the reaping of the rewards as gamers that we get from how they're doing this. Just look at Forza, look at Halo coming out, that just came out, and how great that has been. And look at Psychonauts 2. I think that's a bigger show of what they've done after acquiring Double Fine, where they could have easily just made Double Fine do something completely different with Psychonauts 2 and held them back from what they had already really started, what their creative vision was. But as we know, they didn't do that, and that became one of the best games to come out in 2021. So it's a completely different mindset, completely different culture right now at Xbox, and for the better. And Phil Spencer and the team there play a huge role in it. So yeah, make sure to go check out the Power On documentary on YouTube, or the other streaming platforms that it is available. So Halo Infinite multiplayer, as we know, it only really has quick play, it has big team battle, and then the random event that pops up here and there, and ranked mode. But it looks like we are going to be getting more game modes starting tomorrow, and some of the game modes people have been wanting, and a lot, and one of my favorites, which is SWAT. Here are the updates that we're going to get tomorrow, so it's actually pretty good. It's 343 has confirmed that Halo Infinite's multiplayer will not only get Slayer, Fiesta, Free for All, SWAT on December 14th, but there will also be changes to make the challenges less frustrating. So Brian Gerard went over what's going on with the playlist and says the team's original plans for a Slayer playlist included a variety of new variants that weren't going to be ready in time to deploy before the holiday break. In the meantime, players will still be able to enjoy a basic Slayer offering to start, and the team will look to bolster and expand with more variants in the future updates. Now, when it comes to the challenges, like they say, they're going to also be removing some annoying and frustrating challenges, saying some particularly frustrating mode-specific ones, reducing some requirements for others, making the weekly ultimate challenge less intensive. Getting there is tough enough, and adding a brand new challenges specific to new playlists. So I'm happy to see that, because the more that I play Halo Infinite multiplayer, my take on the challenges at first were, you know, they weren't that hard, they're there, and if you just play the game, you're going to eventually get through them. And the more that I've been playing, the more hours that I've been putting in, I'm realizing that trying to actually complete some of the challenges is taking away from the enjoyment of the game, and I have way more fun playing multiplayer when I'm just kind of ignoring the challenges and just literally only trying to play the objective and trying to win the matches. That's when I have the most amount of fun. But if I'm spending the entire match trying to get like 10 commando kills or 10 shock rifle kills, stuff like that, it definitely takes away from my overall fun from the game. So I've pretty much kind of started to ignore some of the weekly challenges. I don't really care anymore. I'm just playing, I'm having fun, I'm leveling up still with the challenges of like just play a big team battle match, just play ranked matches, stuff like that. And on top of that, I'm playing a lot more ranked recently, which I'm finding is a good time as well. But the best news out of all of this to come out of the challenge changes starting tomorrow is there will be challenges based on accumulating player score, and they say here's a small initial step towards performance-based XP, which is great, because when I'm just playing the objectives, when I'm just playing the game, not really thinking about challenges, I always have a huge score. Like I'm getting 3,000, 4,000, sometimes 5,000 points in a game, which would I assume give me a pretty good XP gain for that match if they were to focus on your performance and getting XP for playing the game well and helping your team win. And then finally, apparently there are some big team battle issues going on. I haven't experienced it, but I've seen people on Twitter posting how like when you jump into a match after your team gets kicked out of the match, 343 is definitely aware of this and they are looking into it. But all in all, lots of great updates. Finally good to see more playlists, and I'm adding some performance-based XP to the challenge system. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Lionhead Studios and the original Fables. Are you sad that they had to close down, all that kind of stuff? And let me know what you think about the updates coming to Halo Infinite. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you enjoy what you saw throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Help this channel grow, help grow this community so we can have great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. We'll be right back.